Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Snake Outta Compton, the true story of the world's most dangerous spoof.
Directed by Hank Braxtan, starring Ricky Flowers, Motown Maurice, Donte Essien, Aurelia Michael, and Joston Theney. On the verge of signing a record deal, an up-and-coming rap group has to fight for their lives against a giant snake in Compton. So what do we like? I like that this was basically an Asylum movie, not produced by Asylum. It's very similar to something like Sharknado, or even like the Epic Pictures Lavalantula and Big Ass Spider. It's very similar to those kind of movies. You've got this big CG ass snake going through Compton, and a group of rappers has to fight it. The concept, title, and poster set it up for success.
Okay, Snake, drop the nerve and let this anaconda roll some.
There's just so many things in this film that this movie is parodying that they know exactly what they're doing in the humor.
So self-aware to the point where they even have a guy who looks just like Urkel named Verkel. You can't be much more self-aware than that. On top of being self-aware, they also had like genuinely funny moments. One of my favorites is definitely like the weird white mesh shirt wearing gangster guy with the golden gun, dope gun by the way, where he's explaining like compound interest because he's like a loan shark.
Compounds when I reinvest the interest, so the interest in the next period is earned on the principal sum and the previously accrued interest.
That's compound interest, bitch!
Aside from Ali Jaws, we also had our like Denzel Washington ripoff character played by Joston Theney. And man, did he nail this role.
I will drag your ass up and down the street by your baby nuts.
Every single line he delivered was hilarious, it was awesome, but most importantly, he was just badass. He actually fought the snake with his bare hands at a convenience store. He's like throwing haymakers, uppercuts. He's taken the snake on. It was over the top entertaining.
We were actually shocked at the end because we know Joston Theney. Back in the day, one of our very first screeners, I think it was one of our first screeners, was Axeman from Joston Theney. And we bashed that shit. We felt super bad about it kind of at the time. But he was the best actor in that movie. But we had no idea this was him. We're just like, that guy was so cool. And then the credits roll. We're like, are you fucking kidding me? We gotta watch Axeman too. I actually enjoyed all of our cast. I mean, there are some characters you're gonna like more than others, but they were all kind of like these weird, obscure caricatures, especially when you're dealing with people like rappers. You've got like the fake thug A&R girl, who's likely the most annoying person in the film. But I mean, everybody's got their own personalities, and they just go in on them.
I got a soft spot for the snake. I don't know what it is.
Well, what do you mean?
It's,
You better not have a soft spot like Verkel did.
no. But the snake, surprisingly enough, did look cool. Like, it wasn't too out of place, like you would expect it to be.
The CG isn't that bad. It's not the greatest, of course, because it is an indie movie, but it was well composited. The shadows were like where they were supposed to be, and you know, they used depth of field on the snake. Like, it kind of matched like most scenes, but you can tell it's CG still, but it's not gonna pull you out of the movie. You know what you're getting into when you're watching a fucking movie called Snake Outta Compton, okay? Don't be too critical. The production value of this was surprisingly higher than I thought it would be as well. I don't know what the budget of this movie was, but it seemed fairly decent. They had pretty solid camera work, lots of aerial shots. You know, there's some not so great green screen effects, but again, it is what it is. Now, what didn't we like? I liked some of the music, and the main rap that you hear throughout the film for Cam, the main lead, every time he sang it, it was evidently like a recorded track, and it didn't fit the rest of the surrounding vocals. Like, you'd have somebody singing with him.
So you better move or get down to this nasty groove.
Then they'd have like this really squirrely background audio track for him while he was rapping, and it was really strange.
I was also disappointed in the bee's knees joke. I was just kind of looking forward to seeing Bee's Knees step right up and be the best rapper out of all of them, and I wasn't impressed with his bars.
I was not impressed with, I don't think he had any, that's why.
This firm is squirming like a worm with a Jerry curl perm, while my crew stands firm against your necessary. We you out if you
sleeping, we rock pros.
I think it's because I was expecting like a little dirt nasty going on here, and no one expecting him to be like the best rapper, and then he just kills it. That's just kind of what I wanted.
One of the major things that I really wish we had a little bit more of were on-screen kills, because there were a lot of cool situations that were set up for deaths, and there are people that die in this movie, but they're almost always off-screen. You don't really see much blood in this, and it seems like they just underutilized what the snake can do. And I don't know if that was just because of like maybe lack of time for animation or budget for animation, or maybe they wanted to keep the ratings down, because it did seem like they were holding back a little bit. There's one pair of boobs which I was shocked at. I didn't think they would show that, considering that they weren't showing any gore.
We did see one like titty explosion, so the potential was there. They just didn't do it.
Right, like they could have done that same exact thing earlier on in the movie, but with blood. Like there's different like amounts of goo that they had. If they made one of those goos red, we would have been happier. I don't know why, but that's true.
Even though this film was self-aware, it doesn't mean that the humor was on point every time. There were a lot of jokes that were overplayed and fell flat, especially with our training day characters. There's this one scene with ice cream. It wasn't funny and it was awkward.
By ninja. That's how it's done, son.
And there's a lot of jokes like that in this film.
I get that they were like trying to make it awkward. It just didn't hit it. It's very hard to say what this is. It's like, oh, it was too awkward to be awkward. You understand what I mean, right? I hope. They tried too hard. Mike Mendez though, Mike Mendez, ice cream. There are other scenes in this movie that they obviously were trying to go for a joke or like a cool, fun moment that just didn't have the same impact that I think that they thought they had. And so you're just like, okay, you're waiting for something to play out. So one of them is closer to the end. We have Rel, the A&R, just like hanging from a post. And they were like trying to build this scene up for like 10 minutes. And it's just like, it wasn't very good for the punchline being a butt squeeze. Like, I don't know. There's like a few scenes like that where they built up things for a long time and the punchline was just not great.
Going back to the music, the audio levels were off a little bit in this film, especially when it came to layering the music, because there are moments where the background noises are much louder than sometimes the dialogue or the song itself, and you notice that separation in what you're supposed to be like paying attention to and listening to, you can't hear over other noises.
Yay! Cam and his...
And some of this has to do with jokes that they were trying to do, because they'd have all these wonky sound effects, specifically when Pinball's moving his arms. Almost every time there's this swish sound effect.
This audition!
Alright, how are we gonna come up with this cash, man?
Almost like a Pootie Tang sort of situation. I get it, it's funny. Mix the audio a little bit better, amp the main rap guy's voice up, bring everything down. Perfect. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Snake Outta Compton was exactly what I expected it to be. It was a cheesy, self-aware movie with a big CG snake and an up-and-coming rap group trying to take it on. It was a little bit more over the top than I thought when it came to our characters. They were very large personalities. Unfortunately, not all the jokes that they had were as good as I think that they were meant to be, but there were a lot of fun and funny moments. But I felt like for some reason they were holding back, and I know that they could have done something super gory and something awesome, and I hope they do in a sequel. So I'm gonna give this 2.5 strip club DJs living the dream out of 5.
I'm gonna break him in two like a motherfucker.
Snapping him half.
Yeah.
You go, girl.
Snake Outta Compton was a fun time. This film had some characters that I really enjoyed. It had some good jokes and it had some bad jokes, but the film was self-aware. It knew exactly who their target audience would be and what they were trying to achieve, and I felt that they did achieve that. Though not everything technical was on par, it did miss its mark with the amount of kills it could have had and the situations that it set itself up for, but what do you expect? These guys clearly were going out there and just wanted to have some fun and parody a bunch of like rap movies. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 2 growth rays out of 5.
First this snake, then... they'll never call me little man again.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, there are links in the description where you can find it. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.